As you can imagine, there are multiple causes of startup failure. And one could argue that in every single case, it's different, depending on the company and the conditions they face. However, on a general level, the causes of failure have been researched a lot, and in this session, we will focus on the most common causes. As a matter of fact, we'll focus on the 10 most common causes. Again, though, please pay attention. I add a word of caution here. Everyone should remember that each startup is as unique as a snowflake. In addition to that, there are multiple things which can cause failure, and those things often occur at the same time. Furthermore, the decisions taken by founders at an early stage of the development can be the root cause of a failure at a later stage. For example, their skills, their capabilities, the people they choose to be in the founding team, etc. So now we've kind of clarified the individual nature of every startup. Let's discuss the 10 most common causes of failure. And those 10 causes of failure have been identified by CB Insights, and it's widely recognized as a valid research study. In fact, they identified 120 reasons, or what we call landmines that cause failure, but we only have time to discuss the most common 10. And I know that I should start with the number 10 and work backwards because I'll get your attention, but I'll start with the first. And the number one reason for startup failure in 42% of the cases studied was, well, what do you think first? Think for a minute. What was the number one reason for failure? Okay, the number one reason for failure was lack of market need for the startup's product or service. I'll throw in some startup language here. In the startup language, we call this market validation or proof. If you remember anything from this session, please remember this. Validation of the market demand for a startup's product or service is more important than anything else. Validation comes first. And to remember this, most important point, always try to apply the STOPP drill. We've landed in enemy territory. The first thing we must do is stop, breathe, and then think. We think about the situation we're facing, which is we must validate our idea. After thinking a lot about this, we observe what's going on. We observe the market, we observe our enemies, we observe our allies, our customers, and the potential customers. And we need to determine from them what is the biggest problem our idea might solve for them. What is the biggest pain they're suffering? Because that problem or pain they face and how they're currently dealing with that pain is our market opportunity. In other words, how they're curing that pain today and why we might cure it in a better way. That is what we want to discover. And then we plan. We plan how to validate our idea, how we can confirm that our idea is the best medicine for our customer. And finally, we proceed, we move forward, we meet the allies, the customers, we do everything we can to understand the real pain and how our idea might best cure that pain. But it seems that more often than not, startup founders fail to take these steps seriously. And that's why 42% of startups said in the CB Insights research that lack of market need for the product or service was the primary number one cause of their failure. Without market validation, the startup ends up with a product that no one pays for. And in the process, they burn a lot of cash, time, energy, and they probably, the founders, end up stressed, depressed, or even burned out. And because the whole process of validation can take some time, as a matter of fact, the CB Insights research found that it takes 2 to 3 times longer to validate the market than founders anticipated. Because that takes so much time to do, and most founders neglect to implement a rigorous, thorough validation process,